Thanks for sticking with us here at 7:30. For years, Charlotte and Mecklenburg County leaders have said there really needs to be an all-hands-on-deck effort to fight juvenile crime and keep kids out of the justice system. Well, and strides have been made. Just last year, in fact, CMPD says it saw a significant reduction in crimes committed by minors. According to the department's 2024 crime report, violent crimes involving a juvenile suspect, you see it here, dropped 2%. Assaults with a deadly weapon involving a juvenile suspect dropped 21%. Juvenile property crime suspects, that dropped as well, 12%. And juvenile suspects involved in criminal incidents dropped by 9%. CMPD is largely crediting this drop to its Juvenile Accountability and Diversion Empowerment, or JADE program.
But you can't discount the work that we've been putting into some of the juvenile, with our juveniles, because the goal is always to change that cycle, to get them on a different path, and to take them away from criminal activity. And anything that we can do to divert that, we're going to make sure that we try to take those efforts very seriously.
Now, important to know, juvenile crime hasn't just gone away despite the encouraging drop. CMPD's mid-year report released last summer showed juvenile crime had spiked to its highest levels in at least 5 years. And we just saw last week a 15-year-old was arrested by CMPD accused in a Charlotte man's murder. That's why last night the Mecklenburg County Board of Commissioners approved more than $2 million of county funds to go toward 13 youth programs across the area in an effort to reduce juvenile crime. Now, judges can refer them to these organizations after they commit a crime. The organizations were chosen by the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. Some of the biggest funding recipients: Tree Sports Positive Action Program, Team Up Connections Group Mentoring, and CMPD's Youthful Diversion Program. Every year, organizations, they have to apply for that county funding again. Now, today, our Claire Kopsky spoke to Daryl and Robin Sturtevant with Team Up Connections.
We all can just say, no, you made the decision to do that. You made the decision to mess up. So you on your own. You eat that yourself. You take responsibility yourself. Some kids are not strong enough to take responsibility themselves. That's where we come in. We bridge that gap.
Doing important work. Team Up says since they started, they have served more than 500 kids, with fewer than 10 becoming repeat offenders. And for some of those repeat offenders, these diversion programs don't work for a variety of reasons. So that's when a judge would need to refer them to a more serious punishment. But there are a lack of options right now here in Mecklenburg County. Last summer, the CMPD deputy chief told us because of difficulties getting judges to sign off on secure custody orders that would hold a young offender in a locked juvenile detention center, their officers only request that order for the, quote, most serious cases. And when those kids are sent into custody, they're not staying here in Mecklenburg County. Our detention center closed around 13 years ago. Now many people are asking, where is the funding for a new detention center for those repeat offenders in our area?
The real reason crime is so out of control right now, I would say, is because the kids, they're not being punished for their crimes. I really do believe that we need a juvenile detention center right here in Charlotte. But if you're going to have one here, use it effectively. And that's to match the crime. You got to send a message.
And that is something that CMPD Chief Johnny Jennings also wants to see.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we're the largest county in the entire state and we don't have a juvenile detention facility. You know, we have to take our juveniles to Cabarrus County.
Right now, he says leaders need to identify money to fund it and then a location to actually build it. But he says there are multiple ways they could make it work.
We don't necessarily have to put that responsibility on our sheriff either. So we could, the state could open up a juvenile detention facility and they could run it basically through the state and not have to depend on the sheriff and his resources.
Now, Sheriff Gary McFadden maintains he still wants the county to reopen a juvenile detention center, but he has not been involved in any of these recent discussions. For now, the onus will remain on organizations like Team Up Connections to step in and help guide juvenile offenders. Turning to our